Hello, my great students of Senior 6. You are welcome to the second lesson of another 20 minutes. Once again, my name is Hesketh Clinton, and we have been looking at causes of Katanga secession, and I want us to take you through the effects of the Katanga secession. Katanga had both positive and negative effects, or the Katanga secession had both positive and negative effects. To begin with, the Katanga secession led to secessionist attempts in other provinces of Congo, such as the South Cassia or Cassia, led a secessionist attempt in August 1960, led by Albert Kalonji and ex-MNC, which we call Movement National Congolese, supporter of Patrice Lumumba, set himself up as a local ethnic ruler and self-styled king with the Belgian military and economic backing or support. 2. The secession, or the Katanga secession, led to government loss of The secession led to great loss of lives. Please, it's not government, but great loss of lives. The government nationalists who were killed included Patrice Lumumba, Maurice Mporo, Joseph Okito. Thousands of innocent women, children, and men died of Belgian bombing. Daga Hammarskjöld, the UN Secretary General, also died in a plane crash in pursuit of Congo's peace, or in pursuit of peace in Congo. These were great men. Then 3, it resulted into the breakdown of law and order. The central government, the coalition of the ABACO and MNC, Movement National Congolese, collapsed as the two rivaled for power, meaning there was chaos, breakdown of law and order. Each of these wanted to head the central government, and therefore the establishment of the rival administrations, one at Leopoldville, today known as Kinshasa, and another one at Stanleyville, known currently or today as Kisangani. Those are cities now or towns in where? In Congo. Then, another point, it led the breakdown of the central government when Patrice Lumumba turned to USSR for assistance. Yet Kasavubu was a capitalist. Consequently, Kasavubu dismissed Lumumba on 5th September 1960 on a radio broadcast, and Lumumba did likewise through the parliament. Remember, we talked about the conflict between Patrice Lumumba and Joseph Kasavubu, whereby the president sacked the prime minister, dismissed him without consulting parliament. The prime minister, Patrice Lumumba, goes to parliament and does it in a lawful way, and also dismisses the president, which Moise Shombi took as an advantage to declare the Katanga secession. Then, another effect, the UN troops were invited to Congo. Remember, I told you in the causes that the UN played a double standard. When they were invited into Congo, they were supposed to patrol the entire Congo, but ended up patrolling Congo with the exception of Katanga. In other words, they were in support of Katanga's cause to secede. At first, they were consistent and of double standards. And in fact, at first they were inconsistent and of double standards. I beg my pardon. Later, they did the required task. They patrolled the entire Congo with the exception of Katanga, where they were meant to act. Evidence of inconsistency, but crushed the Katanga forces, especially after the assassination of their only member. That was the UN Secretary General Daga. Another effect. The secession divided African states. Some supported the secession, that is Katanga secession, while others didn't. The majority of African states supported Moise Shombi's secession movement, while a few, such as Mali, Ghana, and Guinea, supported Patrice Lumumba's unitary ideals. So you can see that some African states at that stage were fully in support of secessions. No wonder it also happened here in 1966 when the Baganda, led by Mutesa, opted to secede from the central government, and the pressure pushed Milton Obote out of Uganda, where he was demanded by the Baganda to set up his capital elsewhere, not on Uganda soil. And what was in his mind was Mbala as an option. It prompted, as an effect, the 1961 Casablanca Conference. And of course, you have to understand that it was a result of that conference and others that followed that we see the rise of OAU. So, it was convened particularly to discuss the politics of Congo, the Casablanca Conference. The interference, not the interference, the conference also discussed, it is a typing error, but it sounds as if it's a term within the sentence. Instead of interference is the conference. The conference also discussed the way forward of African troops in Congo after an intensive assessment of their strength and weakness on ground. Next, it created a refugee crisis in the Great Lakes region. For instance, many Congolese fled to neighboring countries like Tanzania, Rwanda, Uganda, Congo Brazzaville, and Sudan. This further resulted into a humanitarian crisis because the refugees lacked basic necessities such as food, accommodation, clothes, plus medicine, among others. Next, it paved the way for the military rule in the country. Congo was ushered into a military regime. When Joseph Mobutu captured power in the coup d'etat 1965, you see, I must tell you something briefly about Mobutu. He was a super dictator that Congo has lived. either to remember or to regret. So he captured power through a coup d'etat in 1965, so as to help the country out of the chaos. He soon became a dictator. After ruling for over 30 years, he wanted to rule for life. This is not new in Africa. And so suffered a military defeat by rebels led by Laurent Desire Kabila, who was later assassinated and replaced by his son Joseph Kabeng Kabila. He wanted to continue ruling Congo, but today Congo is in the hands of Tekedi. Next, it led to economic decline in Congo, especially in Katanga province. I want to remind you that this area was endowed with resources. Airports were closed. Agriculture came to a standstill. Roads were bombed. Hospitals and other health centers were destroyed, making life hard for the sick people to access treatment. In the confusion, as Katanga had declared herself an independent state, that is what followed. Then it revealed the weakness of the UN. It failed to use force to end the secession. Remember, it relied on the approval of the Western powers in the UN Security Council. You have been sent to take care, to provide security, and you wait for the orders, shoot or not. So UN was in that state. It was waiting to be told what to do. Yet the USA and Britain supported Lumumba after he had allegedly, not allegedly, after he had illegally, after he had illegally been removed from power, and also failed him when Kasavubu and Mobutu arrested him and handed him over to his worst enemy, Moise Tshombe, in Katanga. He was assassinated on his arrival to Katanga. The UN failed to protect the life of such a distinguished citizen. It promoted NeoColonialism in Congo. You see, they say the foreigners or the colonialists left Africa using the front door, and they are coming back using the behind door. And so that is NeoColonialism. Both Patrice Lumumba and Moise begged for military assistance from external powers. And of course, when you look at manifestations of NeoColonialism, external help, external aid, varying from military, logistics, financial, is an evidence of NeoColonialism. You are only independent politically, sometimes even not politically, independent in words, but not in reality. So, example, Lumumba got support from USSR, and while Moise got support from the Belgian. Now look, USSR is socialist. The Belgians are capitalist. You can see now NeoColonialism at work. Then Another point, it resulted into a federal constitution in Congo. Remember, the Brussels conference that would come up with the Brussels Constitution did not agree either to put into consideration Congo as a unitary government or as a federal government. But after the secession, this was worked on. And here we are saying that it provided for the 12 provinces and was proclaimed or enacted in April 1960. This was intended to prevent future conflicts in Congo because the region would substantially benefit from their resources. Moish Shombi became the prime minister in the new constitution that was designed. Note, Moish's ambition to rule Congo was the main reason why he was disorganizing Congo. When he lost hope of becoming the president, he opted for a secession so that he could at least have an area to rule. His ambition was realized when he became the prime minister in July 1964 of a government of national unity, having convinced Kasavubu Joseph in secret negotiations of his willingness to play a leading role in national reconciliation. So even the position of the prime minister comes at the height of a negotiation that he is able to let Congo be peaceful. Hence, he called off the secession. If there is one question that is before you. The question goes, examine the causes and consequences of the Katanga secession or separatism. Approach to this, a background, which we call brief introduction. Then, causes of Katanga secession. In most cases, you can write all, if you can, or at least 15. Because the question is, examine the causes and consequences of the Katanga secession, meaning these are two in one. Then after looking at the causes of the Katanga secession, the student is required to look at the consequences, positive and negative. But then he should take a standpoint on the consequences. If the consequences were many in terms of positivity or positive, then the student should say, to a larger extent, the consequences of the Katanga secession were positive. And you must proceed what we call transitional standpoint. However, to a smaller extent, the effects were negative. Then you write that and proceed and conclude in reference to the standpoint that to a larger extent, the Katanga secession were the effects of the Katanga secession were positive. Full stop.